Hi everyone. So I wanted to make this video. It's definitely not scripted and it's kind of on the fly. I do feel a little bit anxious about it, but on account that I um pride myself in being very transparent and authentic to people, I feel like I should kind of be more authentic in terms of who I am and coming out towards like my clients and stuff. And it's not that I owe people anything. It's just that in a world where so many people are unable to show up as themselves, I feel like it is important for people to kind of be the ones who start to do that, to start to show up as themselves. Um, Now, here is where it gets like a little bit tricky. So recently, a few months ago, which I'm currently writing the experience because it's been quite the ordeal. A few months ago, I came across information that really has like opened my eyes to many different things about myself. And it was during my very extreme prolonged burnout that was very extended and I didn't seem to be recovering from. In fact, it felt like it was just continuously getting worse. Um, it was during this moment that I actually came across like information and some testing, and there is where I found out about, you know, what being on the spectrum is and autism and how it presents in females and all these things. And um, it's very difficult for me to talk about this because of my own like stigmas around it and what our perceived idea of what autism is. And so um, making this video is incredibly hard and vulnerable for me because I know that other people will have their own stigmas, perceived stigmas, um, once I post this video, and that is okay. Now I am, for all intents and purposes, I am self-diagnosed. I do several tests online, including some paid tests, and they all came back with, very high scores and left me reeling and stunned. And once I learned about how it actually showed up in people's lives, it was very, very obvious. And I was so beside myself and angry and was curious, not curious, I was upset as to why it wasn't so obvious and how people didn't know, because once I knew what it was, looking back on my life, it was so very incredibly obvious. And just knowing how much I struggled in my life because of that has been so painful, and having grief and anger around that has been a huge thing. But this is not what this video is about. That is something I will maybe address at another point, and what I will be addressing, um, you know, in what the thing I'm writing. So what I want to talk about more particularly is masking. And why this is important is because once we go through this thing, for many neurodivergent people, once you learn about these things, whether it's ADHD or autism or something else, and speaking about formal diagnosis, there's many reasons why people cannot go to get a formal diagnosis. There's also stigmas in that. There's a huge list of reasons why people may not be able to or cannot go or choose not to go that route. But rest assured that people who have learned this about themselves, as most people who are, autists will say, or that we already know about, is how we will go into like extreme mode to research the F out of something and to know what we are. And nobody is going to assign something to them if they weren't sure about something. And nobody knows themselves better than themselves. So because of that, I will not be opening comments, unfortunately, on this post, because some people are really mean, and I don't think I'm prepared to receive mean comments from people when I'm already like used to receiving it from like people in my life that I really don't want to receive comments about. It's not their business. It's no one's business but your own, like your journey and things. So with that being said, the first thing that happens when this happens to you is you realize like about what masking is and that you've been kind of operating all your entire life through masking. And so you reach this point and you're like, well, who is me? Who's the real version of me? And I think it's like so varied because we're not like this 2D version of someone. And that's the thing about people who are on the spectrum, especially as someone who's a healer, and my idea of like what that we're on a completely different frequency from neurotypical people. And because of that, you have a very multi-dimensional view and experience of things that other people don't. So they're unable to perceive things in the way that you do, which is so vast and so particular, so detailed, and so varied. And so because of that, I don't think that there's necessarily one particular version of you. I think that version of you is so incredibly multifaceted because of that. And so I feel like I can really, really move in any direction in terms of like who I am and flow. It's like an ebb and flow of depending on where I am energetically and things like that. So with that being said, there's one thing about me that is very much a part of who I am, and that is like my very supreme like silliness and quirkiness and all that stuff. And this is a part of me that I have really, really like masked and hidden a lot in my life. And when it has come out in terms of like in social groups, like with friends and that's at work and things like that, the usual comment that people would get is that I'm on crack, or I want what she is on, or what drugs are you on today? And those are the types of comments that I have been used to my entire life, because when I do act like myself, and at the time it was just like it seemed funny and I'd be like ha ha ha, but like looking back it's like at it and knowing that when sorry that the moments that I would show up as my true self and be like super super bubbly and maybe like slightly hyper and just really really interested and about things and really able to take on this like personality that was, I wouldn't say take on, but it would be me. I would just be this like very rich type of person. And to know that that version of me would be met with like these types of comments is hurtful, because it would, I guess, suggest that it's not something favorable or accepted, and that it's frowned upon that somebody is naturally like that. And so it must be because I'm on drugs. It must be because I'm on crack, and that I must have like smoked some crack in the back room before I was talking to my coworkers. Like, it's so weird to think about it now that we say things like that to people, that when someone exude this type of like brightness and bubbliness and energy that is just beyond that, our immediate reaction to that is to put them in a box or define it and assign it a reason why they're that way. You're on drugs and stuff. And it's like, okay, so what I've been trying to do is I've been really trying to work on this unmasking journey, which has been more difficult than people realize. Showing up as yourself is scary, especially when people have a perceived version of you, especially when that version of you is very different depending on who you're with. Because as people who have masked, when you look back, you can see how you have fine-tuned yourself to be exactly what people needed in those situations. And at least in my case, I can look back and honestly say that I was very, very good at adapting to every single situation and being the perfect person in all those situations. However, were they me? Maybe some, fragments of it. But for the most part, I was just masking and being the ideal candidate in all of those situations and showing up in this like, bright, like, way that is someone you can tolerate and accept. And so it's something that many people have to kind of tackle when you go through like an unmasking journey and deciding like, is that something you want to do with everyone? Is that something you want to, maybe reserve for certain people? However that looks like to you, like for instance at the clinic where I work, I absolutely cannot fully unmask there. It's a super very conservative area, workplace, and it would be very weird and uncomfortable if I unmasked there. And I feel like it would not be very safe for me as well. But maybe I can bring in some of the, little fragments of that into my workplace, but then also knowing that you need to find places where you can unmask, and not just when I'm at home with my cats and being a complete, like, off the wall, like weirdo, but finding spaces, finding friends, finding your tribe, doing things that really reflect who you are, your passions and your personality and things like that. It's going to be important for you to find those things, to allow yourself to unmask and to be who you are. And so, since we're on the topic of authenticity, this is my journey now. I am really, really experimenting and practicing with that. It feels uncomfortable, and immediately after I put myself out there in this very like unmasked version of myself, where I am someone who is very, very smart. I was a gifted child of a very high IQ. However, I always had to make myself seem to be a certain way for people to take me seriously, because if I'm just like a blathering idiot, and just like bubbly and hyper, I feel like people won't take me seriously or think I'm not smart, or that it's not anything that is, important, that I have nothing to contribute as a result of that. And so that is hard, because these are like very real societal like programmings that are in place, and we have them like ingrained in ourselves as well. So that's something to keep in mind. So oftentimes something that you might experience is when you do put yourself out there unmasked, that you might feel immediate like shame afterwards and be so embarrassed and be like in a like frenzy in your mind thinking about how people are perceiving you and things like that. And so doing things to like ground yourself and bring yourself back into your body is really, really important while you're going to be doing this. So hello, it's me. I am showing up this way, and I'm going to be trying to show up more this way in all my videos. But I just wanted to put this out there for other people who may be on this journey, and to know that you're not alone, you're not a weirdo, and that you're brilliant. And I hope you find the courage and bravery and the right people to show up as who you are, because you really deserve that space to show up as who you are. I want that for you so much. Okay. And I really want you to want that for yourself. So this is my, I guess, introductory video, and I will, yeah, I hope to put more content out with this in terms of like how autism fits into like healing, my healing practice, and what that means like to me, for me. So I hope you have a really, really good day, and I hope you're taking care of yourself and your spirit today. Take care.